don't have to make a motion to go back into open session.
You do.
You do. It's down lower. Either that or you gotta flip it over. There is a paragraph that has that in it. It's always hard to get it in chronological or the order it's supposed to be in.
No votes were taken.
Okay, we're ready.
It's at the end of one of those paragraphs, towards the end, which we always get the cart before the horse, usually. Because we always read that, we always go make the
I'm
motion
not
to go
seeing
back in.
Can you see that? How to go back into session? I'm not seeing. Does it say motion?
Just let the minutes reflect.
Yeah, it's just, it's not a motion though.
No, it says that we,
Let the minutes reflect that we have done this, this, and this, but it doesn't
Yeah.
say to go, a motion to go back into ocean.
somewhere on there, it says.
If there's a
to
motion
make-
to take action, it should be
That's
made
the action
now.
thing though.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Oh, really? Is it on the other, is there 2 pages?
Well, we're past that though. Because the last thing here was, number 8 is while in closed session.
I believe we have fully discussed this matter. I believe we should go back into open session to take action, so there's where the motion will be made on that. But,
Yeah, it doesn't specifically say the motion. No.
So let's just make a motion to go back into.
Go ahead and, I'll say it then. All right, let the minutes reflect that we're now in open session. I make a motion to go back into open session.
I'll second that.
Motion from Derby and a second from Smith to go back into open session. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. The closed session has been concluded by agreement of the parties. No matters were discussed other than the issue for which the closed session was taken. No votes were taken or any other action. There being no further discussion, is there a motion? There it is. Is there a motion? That's the part I missed.
You need it again?
No, we already did it. It's
No.
in
it
It's
happens
in there.
every time.
None of us could find it, sorry.
underline that part of it. All right, so now we are in open session. I would make the motion to offer the applicant of the IT committee's recommendation with an offer that was discussed in closed session, giving authority to the auditor to do the negotiating with the applicant.
I'll second it.
Motion from Jensvold, or motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold to offer the applicant of the IT committee's recommendation with an offer that was discussed in closed session, giving authority to the auditor to do the negotiating with the applicant. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. We hope for the best.
Thank you.
If he's out on road construction,
Can I text him?
can't. He hasn't returned my call from yesterday, so I'm not having any luck.
I'm on vacation, isn't he?
No, he's here.
If he's not in his little corner, he doesn't hear his phone ring. Or the landline anyway. Whether he carries his cell phone with him, I'm not sure.
Wanna do some open forum for now?
Oh, he's on a call, he says he'll be there soon.
So for open forum, I have an announcement. While I was cleaning up at the Country Thunder yesterday, taking down that booth and hauling things away, we got a phone call from, I think it was the Iowa Economic Development, that Kristen was funded with the $100,000 catalyst grant for our building over there.
Oh,
That goes through the city and they reimburse her for her project as it goes on. One thing she was talking about was she's debating whether she's gonna leave that annex on, that wood structure annex, because there's a problem with water coming off the alley in there. I think it's fixable, but she may need the parking more than she needs the annex.
I think that's a wise decision. There's a lot of water.
Barney thought maybe they could redo the alley to make it a swale in the middle to retain the water, but you get those big torrentials and it's still gonna get over that part of it.
well, that will move things forward.
Yeah, still got 2 more things they're gonna apply for, so. A couple of different tax credits, workforce tax credits, and,
Does this get stamped received?
Yes, please.
so we had a conference call with her, and we had a conference call with Daisy at the city, so they all know.
Everybody knows?
Well, Carl knows, cause he showed up,
All right.
here down the booth, which
Hello.
extension cord they forgot.
That was the economic development booth, is that what it was?
We were next to each other, yeah. KOW.
Oh, all right. Hello,
Morning, how's
Morning.
everybody?
good, how are you?
Hey, how's your jail? Was it full this weekend, or?
No, pretty tame actually. I guess I don't know exactly how many Tree-town related ones came up. I know a lot of them were from like outside on the roadways, not in the hole or the campsite.
Yeah, I heard they're pretty strict enforcement out there, state troopers.
On the whole, good. It's no news is good news.
Okay, still waiting on Scott. What else can we do here?
Did you want? to-
Contracts.
We probably, well, Scott might, yeah, you,
We've got law enforcement contracts, number 11. Okay, we've got Steve here Sheriff Steve to talk about law enforcement contracts with the cities.
Yeah, okay, well, for the contract towns, it was renewal time. So we go on a 4-year contract, and Buffalo Center did sign into this, after they lost their officer, they signed, so theirs is already done. But the other towns, 3 or 4 months ago, I took the contracts to each of the city clerks or mayors and got the last one back last night. So anyway, need the rest of your signatures on it to extend these contracts till June 30th, 2025. So,
So they all expire at the same time?
I'm sorry?
then?
Yeah.
They all expire at the same time?
yep, so they're all in the same 4-year cycle.
including the Buffalo.
Correct, yeah.
That way there's no unforeseens, they know what
Yep.
to expect. Now, are we working off of the new census numbers, or what are we doing?
No, when these were set up, the 2020 census hadn't been finalized or was out yet, so we're still off the 2010 numbers. So, yeah, so like I say, that being said, simply just need to finish the signature areas on all of them with you guys, so. I got yours as chairman, Bill, so.
No, he's not sure.
But I'm not chairman.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was when they signed the Buffalo one, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Can Sandy change it and send it over here to print? That was one page.
Or do we just cross my name out and write yours in?
What do you think?
I think just have Terry sign it as the
Alright.
chair and
Okay.
It's, yeah, it's
So-
just, yeah. it's just
Okay,
him,
so I'll just hand all
Do
these.
do we need an approved on this too?
no, for signatures.
All right.
Okay.
Just have Terry sign.
Well, we'll switch course then and go this direction.
You gotta deal with me.
All right. Yeah.
We should probably have a motion too before you sign, just to,
Yeah,
that you're,
let's look at it.
Yeah, so you kind of.
Okay, so, right now,
We're all the same, right? So it'd be the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
well, let's see, what's the rate per capita right now?
Page 2.
Page 2, rate. No, that's the
Here,
sum. but-
yeah, each town is gonna be a little different just 'cause
But what's the rate per capita that you determine that with?
Oh, you would ask and I,
Well, where's Tom's? Which one's this? Leland, where's Tom's?
Yeah, golly, yeah.
Because Thompson was right at 500.
okay.
Um,
I just left the other paperwork back at the office.
See if I can
We're about 43 and a half or
I
so.
remember you discussing it, but
Right now, it's about 43 and a
just-
half.
Yeah,
43.
I was thinking it was somewhere in that range. We just moved it up from like around 30 to, or 40 or so, yeah, or maybe it was 40 to 43.
I mean, each year per capita is gonna go up $3.50 per capita.
All right. You want to look at one of those?
It's just it's one for each town, so
Yeah.
I put the Buffalo one in here, which is already in.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the contracts with the cities that the county covers for law enforcement.
I'll second it.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold to approve the law enforcement contracts with the cities that don't have their own. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on Sunday, I really didn't notice any really bad drunks like I normally see at that concert.
It was too hot, it kept
That
it
one
dried
has
out.
Buffalo on it, that's already complete.
okay,
Just keep it in the stack there.
okay.
There's the next one.
so the cities that you're signing those agreements for are,
Leland, Thompson, Buffalo Center, Rake, Scarlet. Yeah,
I
they
just thought it'd be good to
they
say them
don't,
out loud so that people know,
correct, okay.
because all the other cities have their own.
So it might be
enforcement.
too hard for them to deduce what Terry said with the fact that the places that don't have their own police departments.
And
So you take those two and then subtract the rest.
and Iowa code requires that the cities provide the law enforcement in one manner or another.
Whoever classes those are, they're gonna charge you for the use of those.
I don't know if Mike left them or,
I don't know, they've been here forever.
yeah.
The only one I ever saw wear them was Mike.
Once in a great while, I would that one.
Would you please take these over to Chris and have her make copies of them for our files?
I gotta
Absolutely, yeah.
take my glasses off.
Yep,
Will
thank
do.
you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks.
guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, have a good day.
Okay. Well, I suppose I could get Chris in here. Would you like to talk to us about drainage? All right, thanks. Keep this moving. We finished open forum, didn't we?
Yes.
You got transfers?
Just one.
Consider-
Do those. Sorry.
Consider approval of auditors transfers.
Do the liquor license for Benji Pub too.
Hello,
Hi. Oh, I just looked at these. Sorry.
You wanna
I
make
was
a
just
motion?
reading your shirt.
Hello.
I'll make the motion to approve the auditor's transfer.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the auditor's transfer. All those in favor say aye.
All right,
All those opposed? Motion carries. Morning, Chris.
Good morning. I don't know what I have. I don't think anything.
Other than what's on, did we have it on the agenda for the, oh, we didn't. You can talk about, a little bit about that parcel.
Yeah, I talked to NRCS, and I think, did I send you guys information last week?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that they had, that parcel had been getting paid
until they figured out.
until NRCS figured out they didn't own it.
What happens in a situation like that? Do they have to pay it back?
I didn't ask.
Yeah.
That's, I'm gonna assume their deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not for us to do, but, IDDA, according to them, we can just deed it to whomever. I did talk to Hancock County because it is a joint, so we need to have a meeting with them. I had talked to Ann, and then we were gonna have a teleconference, so I'm hoping that we can do that next week. And
What
then,
did their records show in Hancock County then?
I didn't even ask her, I just sent everything I had, and then I said, you know, we, as a joint board, would need to make that decision, but
I think that's Ted Hall's parents, isn't it?
no,
It's not.
no. They were from Forest City here, this Gordon, and
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
All right.
his mom's name was Marge, but not the right
That's
one.
where I got it.
Yeah.
It was the same landowner that was getting paid.
I don't know that answer.
It could have
I
been.
don't know when the Halls took that over.
I thought I read somewhere that it was still that same name.
It is still the Halls now, but that's not the person that deeded it to the district.
Well, no, but I'm talking when the people that were getting paid for it when they shouldn't have.
Could have been. I don't know. I didn't ask.
Somehow I got that understanding. So if it's gonna get deeded back to the same people, then.
It would just get deeded back to that landowner that's on the west.
Yeah.
My assumption in RCS too was that they deeded it out because it's not farmable. Because it's on the opposite side of the ditch towards the road.
Yeah.
So they were probably like, why do we want it?
Probably not wide enough to even farm.
You'd
But-
have to maintain it,
You could-
you know, somehow. and-
Right,
Depending on how slope it, you could possibly bale it, I guess, maybe.
but they could get the NRCS benefits back, the CRP.
Yeah,
How many acres is it?
I think it said 3.
3?
so it would actually be a slight benefit to them then if they can get that back.
Right, maybe. Because the Halls didn't get rid of it. It was before them, so maybe they would want it. But I will wait and find out from Ann when we can have a joint meeting. They'll just do a teleconference.
Anybody else have anything for drainage?
I think they go,
Okay. The Doug Harmon thing, was he gonna be part of that? Was he calling you in or anything?
Did you talk to him?
No, I didn't. That was gone.
So, then no.
All right, then we'll table this for now.
So, I don't know. That was what I was going off of, is that you were gonna have an update.
I left Wednesday morning.
Okay.
All right. Note to self. All right, Scott. What do you got for roads?
Yep, good morning. Today I wanted to reiterate a note that I'd sent to you in the media this week that we have seal coating planned for Monday, June 21st. They'll be doing 2 stretches of road in the county. They'll be doing R16 or the Mill Road south of Buffalo Center. Not through town there, but 3 miles south, starting there and going south. And then they'll be doing R72 from Winnebago Church to Highway 69. This is new in the last couple decades, so anybody who's lived in this county hasn't seen it for a while. We're going to be doing everything we can to try and make it safe and dust-free and a good solution for everybody. The contractor will be here for 2 days. The first day they'll put down the first layer of oil and the limestone chips, and they'll roll that down. It'll probably be very dusty that first day. And the next day, they'll put down another thin layer of oil over the top to try and bind all that dust together. It'll look black for a little while. That really will wear away, but it's just to kind of control the dust and keep chips from moving around in the meantime.
Did they roll that after the second layer of oil?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I think they will roll it a couple of different times, after the chips are applied. This is my first time seeing it, so we've done some research, and I've asked everybody around us, the other counties, kind of what they expect and stuff, so tried to prepare myself to be a competent inspector, but it'll be a learning process, so.
does it help take some of the rough areas out of it? Does it level that off a little bit, or
It's not really
is it?
very good at leveling.
I wouldn't think so. There's a couple of spots that are pretty good bumps.
Yeah, we did level the cracks last year, and I wasn't happy with, 3 or 4 spots there were kind of wider than the loots on the slurry leveling crew. So maybe learned a lesson there that, we need to be more critical of the job, right when it's done or before mark them or something like that. They would have had to use, wider tools or a screen, basically a screed,
Yeah, 'cause
8-10 foot wide.
A couple of them are pretty good size.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. I don't have any way to fix it with this project. If we realize they're horrible and need to be fixed in a year or 2 down the road,
Oh, they're not horrible. I mean,
if we decide they are,
Yeah.
we can put them on a list to be leveled. It's harder to get 3 dips fixed than it is 4 miles, because they'll charge you so many thousand just to show up.
When was the last time we paved these?
R16, I believe, was paved in 2000. That road is aging quite well, I think. In 20 years, you would expect it to be pretty trashed and ready to be repaved. And it's in quite good condition, really, except for the dips. Overall, the surface isn't
Yeah, it's-
overly cracked up or anything. R72, I believe, was paved in 2006. So on that one, I feel like we're kind of getting ahead of where it would start to unravel on us, and hopefully we can get another decade out of it.
Did you have a start date on either of those, or?
June 21st is the day they'll be here to start, according to their latest schedule. They tell me they can do all 9 miles in one day
In each layer thing.
for the first, you know, the oil and chips. All 9 miles, and then the next day they'll come in.
They're gonna start on the Mill Road, you said?
That's what they tell me. They have stockpiled rock at in a couple different locations for these jobs.
They get it all done in one day?
That's what they tell me.
Good. Just won't interfere with the men's day traffic.
It's not as if they'd have to go very far the other way. But in any case,
That's, when I'm working at my shop on Wednesdays, there's way more traffic on the Mill Road than normal.
leisure traffic.
Yeah, everybody going, golf carts going by on trailers.
Yeah. Well, they'll do one lane at a time, so we'll have a pilot car out there.
Yeah.
Be a little slower for some people, but it won't be closed, so that's nice.
Be better off taking a different road.
I think so. For everybody, it'd probably be best to take a different road for, you know,
A
even a
couple
week.
miles further, but you can go down the Woden Blacktop, I guess.
Yeah.
Or over to Cassuth.
No, if it only takes them a day to do the whole works, that'll be done before then anyways. The 21st is a
But there might be a lot of loose chips to start with. What's next?
Other than that, pretty typical week. Got dirt crew working on work orders. We got trucks hauling from Fertile to Forest Mount Valley area for rock resurfacing. And a couple, not much blading right now with being so dry, so some of the blade guys are working on sign work and finishing up mowing blacktops, kind of odds and ends work.
Yeah, they went by my shop yesterday with the mower.
Yep, I think we should have blacktops finished mowing here this week. If not already.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
I called you yesterday because I had a question at Bryce Lake.
Yeah, I missed you.
15-mile-an-hour speed limit there. Do you know anything about that?
I believe there was a resolution passed by the board before I was here. We'll call it 15 or 20 years ago, that established that speed limit. I think it starts right at the clubhouse entrance and covers the whole subdivision from memory.
What's it signed?
I believe it, I mean, the
I
sign.
was told all the way from way out there.
From where the Rice Lake sign is,
I'm not
on the
sure.
blacktop?
Person I talked to said it was way out there, farther than that.
Someone got cited, I think, right?
Yeah.
I believe there's a 15-mile-an-hour warning plaque before the curves, but that's not regulatory, that's a warning sign. I'm not sure where the regulation starts. I think it's at the clubhouse. We can look all this up pretty quickly down in my
That
office.
doesn't bother me so much in that area. But farther out, if that was 15 miles an hour, that's almost a traffic impedance.
Yeah, if it was. Yeah, I could go check this out and come back up here if you
What?
like.
Yeah, why don't you check that out and make sure somebody didn't put up signs where they shouldn't have?
Yeah, that'd be unlikely
Because
to.
they said some new signs showed up.
New signs.
Well, they might be talking about those signs that were the hunting trapping
Oh, okay.
as well, but I think there might be.
They didn't talk anything about that. They were talking about the speed sign.
Oh, they were, okay.
So I don't know if there's some new signs they got put up by the DNR
Who has
authority.
authority over that?
This is a project that I'm gonna start working on,
Yeah.
but there isn't dedicated right-of-way shown from A34, whatever, East and West Road there, all the way up to the clubhouse. And then we got some right-of-way issues even further in the subdivision, but some of it snakes through DNR land. And We've always had a maintenance agreement with them so that we plow and they pay us for it, so it's quirky. But I would think, and we have always treated it like we have authority for signing and maintaining the road. So I have a project that I've approached the surveyor about to do some title work and figure out if what we're showing on Beacon is correct, and if it is, what we need to do to get right away dedicated or vacated, depending on where it
Because
goes.
this all
to.
came up when we have the tree problem encroaching the road.
So now those trees that go all along there a lot of them are dead. So now that's gonna create those are gonna start falling. You know, I mean, that whole thing is dead along there, so I'm wondering if we ended up creating more work.
Part of the process will probably be an informal agreement about any maintenance that needs to happen through the dedications of right away or vacations or deeds or whatever, I would think. Because, I mean, we'll never have 66 feet wide of clear swath through there unless you want to do a major clearing project, which I don't think anybody
I
out there
don't think
would.
anybody wants that out there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the
There might
trees
be
are
a few
2 foot
people
off
who
the
would like to
road.
do that and add a walking, biking lane.
Yeah.
But that's expensive.
Well, you want to get through the rest of my things and I'll run down and check?
Okay,
Right.
all right. You guys didn't have anything else for Scott? Okay. Consider for approval, use and purchase of equestrian crossing signs for in-faith riding light at 1044 450th Street.
I don't have any more on it.
Okay. Bill?
I'll make a motion to approve the use and purchase of equestrian crossing signs for in-faith riding light at 1044 450th Street.
I'll second it. A motion from Jensvold and a second from Derby to approve the use and purchase of equestrian crossing signs for in-phase riding light at 1044 450th Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Consider for approval, resolution establishing a policy for crossing roads with drainage tile.
I think we've talked through the details of this. I have drafted a resolution. There's 2 copies of it. Generally indicating our intent for this and
And what is the intent? I briefly read it before I was gone. So what are we doing?
so this is for people who have private tiles that are areas that they tile in their field and realize they need to cross the road to find an outlet. So they'll approach the county and say, hey, this is the direction we need to go, we need to cross the road. So this outlines who pays for that. And it's just a cost share program.
Yeah.
So that they don't have to get an engineer's report and public hearings and stuff like that, which is prescribed later in the code.
Gotcha. So it doesn't involve drainage districts, because that's still you.
It wasn't my intent, and, usually in those cases, there's an engineer involved in everything, and all that goes quite smoothly.
Right, okay, good. Like I said, I kind of just briefed over it, and I'm like, I don't.
But it puts a cap on how much the county is liable for on it as well, right?
Yeah, under my authority, yeah.
Up to 25.
And why is that when it's your area? Why do you have a cap on that?
I think it's just so the board has some control over what my office authorizes, so that we don't have a, $10,000 bill come from a
But it was
private
my
tile. which
understanding
is-
that you could come back to us though, and we could approve something higher if it was necessary.
Right,
You're
but,
still talking private, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
but it also allows, in this policy, it allows for a way for the landowner and the contractor to move forward faster than counting on the county to do it for
Right.
them.
I just wanted to make sure that drainage districts didn't have a cap for youth, because that's, I don't think in the code.
Right.
So, but you're still just all talking private.
Just purely
Yeah.
private stuff.
This is a
That's perfect.
proactive approach to keep things moving.
Yeah, and that's great, yeah.
I think the most common application from a drainage district standpoint is if one of our tile contractors works on a plug tile and traces it to the road.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, usually we're able to work out a deal pretty quickly
Oh,
about
yeah.
who fixes it or whatever.
Yep,
And,
because I don't think I've ever had any landowner complain about under the road,
yeah,
that, never.
every now and then they'll end up fixing something and realize they get into the road right away and they'll send us a bill and we didn't really, have an agreement ahead of time and that's not ideal, but it's not very common.
There's the rest of the agreement, Bill.
So,
Yeah,
Applicant.
No,
if we
works
need
for me.
to address drainage district tile, we can,
Well, not
Yeah.
that
I mean,
no,
that-
and I think, like you said, if we're gonna go across your road, you're gonna know anyway from an engineer.
yeah, usually.
So, yeah. I would never approve that. That would be horrible. Yeah, you just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. For one, who would build a site?
I'm gonna make the motion for approval of the resolution establishing the policy for crossing roads with drainage tile as presented.
You wanna say private drainage tile?
That's what it says.
All right.
Well, no, it doesn't say
It
that. It
doesn't
says
say that.
with drainage tile. But it explains it all in the
Yeah.
resolution.
And it doesn't say district
Right.
tile. Doesn't say drainage district.
Yeah, all right, so it's, I'll second it.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the resolution establishing a policy for crossing roads with drainage tile. All those in favor say aye.
All right,
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. I need to sign those.
Who seconded it?
Bill.
does this need to be stamped? Is there signature spots for the chairman?
I imagine Jeremy from Hancock County and I will kind of keep in touch on this, see how it's working for them. And if there's any things that don't fit very well, then we'll maybe make modifications to the policy. Probably take a year, see how it goes, see how many come up that, fit in the policy. See what the reactions are from the landowners and the contractors. But we'll probably send this out to the, your normal tile contractors, whatever, 4 or 5 of them we have in this county, so they
Thank
kind of
you.
know.
Signing this.
She pushed the chair just right.
Carla, just the resolution's probably fine for you, isn't it?
Yep,
Okay, take the rest of it back then.
there you go. Thank you, sir.
Sweet.
All right,
You
consider for approval liquor license for Vinci Pub.
Well, you can take it because, yeah.
Oh,
You motion?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll make the motion to approve the liquor license for Vinci Pub.
I'll second it.
On a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the liquor license for Vinci Pub. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. It's a different form than I've seen before. Some
Yeah, it did
digital
look
form or something.
They changed their system and there's not a good way to print it off anymore. And so,
Not a way to
No.
copy and paste or anything.
I don't think so. It's just not as user-friendly as it used to be.
Consider for approval handbook items.
Let me get Chelsea. I don't remember. She just stepped out for a moment, so Um, I think the first thing was the sick leave. They wanted to see if there was a reason we only let the employee use 1 week of sick for their children or parents and or spouse. If they could just use all their sick for sick time of themselves or the person included, people included on this list, which would be a child under the age of 18 or a child who is incapable of self-care because of a mental or physical disability. And then spouse and employee's parents. So in the past, they've only been 1 week that you could use for other people, and the rest had to be for yourself. They're looking for permission to allow sick use to be used for any amount of time to be used for those people.
Just saying, sick is sick.
Yep,
Do they have to have documentation of the sick children or whatever?
only if the department head requested.
I mean, the only thing with it is somebody could possibly take advantage of that, but,
If your kids are sick, your kids are sick.
well,
I
no,
mean,
but if your kids aren't sick and you're using it anyway. it's- Personally, I do not have a problem with it.
in the office, I mean, like, Hannah was sick all the time. And so, and you know that because we talk about our families sometimes and I don't know, I think
I'm just trying to think of why the limitation is in there in the first place.
that's a very good question. Like when I worked at the bank, there was never a limitation on that. Thank God, because it would have,
How about this?
okay?
So, my wife will be having a baby in September. She'll have gone through surgery, possibly, and if I'm caring for her, that could be a long time. So,
Is there a policy for paternal leave?
not really, but you could take a week of family sick to kind of care for them through the process, so you
Some,
so you get a
some
week.
companies are offering, my son-in-law had. the
Well, that
ability
would
to
fall
take-
under FMLA.
Okay,
So it's a different thing, but I mean, this would allow for like him to take care of his wife and child for
Well, it
more than
already,
a week.
yeah, it already does for a week, but, now it'd be more than a week.
So that'd be significantly better for me to have another whatever, however much time I have, I guess, which seems excessive. But
so the FMLA, what does it allow?
FMLA allows, what is it?
12 weeks.
I mean, if you have paid leave,
Right.
you know, it would
That's
never,
not
it would
necessarily.
never be an
paid
issue.
leave, Yeah.
Well,
That's
and
just securing your job,
FMLA
basically.
Is on top of that. FMLA would start at the date of your child's birth, and FMLA would go for 12 weeks on top of the sick or vacation time that he would have.
Most employees, it doesn't matter because they have enough paid leave in our department, anyway. Kind of separate discussion.
Yes.
So is that sick leave the only question we had for the handbook then?
No, there was one
There was
more.
one other one.
And that's what you put in the folder, but I don't know what else we were gonna talk about. Maybe the
Oh, yeah, because they never actually made a decision about.
the inclement weather policy. And the way it's written in the handbook is very confusing right now. So do you wanna just read that?
It says, because Winnebago County serves the citizens of the county, the courthouse will always remain open. In extreme circumstances, however, the Board of Supervisors or a designated committee may determine that it is necessary to close the courthouse or other county offices and facilities. If an employee's office is closed by the county, then full-time employees will be paid for hours lost due to the closing of the office. Well, it either always remains open or there's, you know what I mean?
we just need to figure out how to word it and how you guys want to handle that situation going forward.
So there was kind of some resolution at a board meeting at one time, but never voted.
Well,
on
there was,
it.
yeah, there was discussion, but there was never
Proposed resolution.
an action.
Yeah, I think what we had talked about before was to leave the courthouse open at all times, but the employees, if they could make it, have to come in. If they can't make it in, they can use their vacation time or whatever. Vacation or comp.
Wasn't there some discussion too about closing to the public, you know?
Yeah, that we would close, that's what I was trying to say. I don't know if I said it right.
Well, that too,
Doors-
yeah.
Doors would be closed, but the employees would still be.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you don't really want to encourage the public to come in either if it's that bad.
That's really the biggest benefit to closing it, is you just
Yeah.
get more people off the road.
and that's, Hancock County never closes their courthouse. And
They close it to the public.
no, they never close their courthouse.
I don't think Forth does either.
I don't know.
Right, because it seemed like to me, we were the only ones that were doing it, for the most part in this area, is what I remember. Now, whether that's accurate or not could be another thing, because I don't know what you remember. But that's what it seems like to me.
So everybody else just deal with it.
And the people that live out in the country take their vacation time and don't come in, and people can make it in, that are in town, make it in, and
Well, and then on the bottom part, it says, you know, if they don't have any time available, the employee may choose to take the time off without pay with department head approval. So. Just depends.
That's the way we always were, I guess, as far as when we had our business. It's too bad to go to work, you just didn't get paid that day, I guess. We didn't have a.
So the concern is that people don't need to be on the roads. Our employees, or even people who want to use the courthouse for safety reasons. More than anything,
Yeah,
keep employees safe and,
One of the arguments against it is that there was people that weren't gonna wanna use their vacation days or whatever, and they would try to get here anyway, and they would possibly get themselves in trouble.
so what happens if everybody in the auditor's office can't, they all live in the country or whatever, you know? And that door just stays locked? And the
yep,
rest
then
of
everybody in that
courthouse
office
is-
would take
is
their
open.
vacation and,
So there's no drawbacks necessarily, right?
Well, it also states in there that the courthouse would be closed to the public.
well, I don't think it actually states
No,
that.
not in the policy book currently,
Not in
no.
the policy.
Mm-mm.
Well, that's what I'm asking. There might be someone in the treasurer's office that can do their work. They live in town, it's open, someone comes and wants to do business over there, then it's open.
Mhm.
So is there any drawbacks to having one department not open that day and another open?
Just the way it is that day.
And I would think there's at least one person in every office that's in town for the most part. So,
Because I'd hate to see somebody come all the way to town to do business and the office is closed. You're not gonna set things well. I mean, if we had like right now, we have a notification on the radio
Yeah.
that it's closed.
But when the weather's that bad, you should realize that there's a possibility, there's businesses that don't open sometimes. Because at Casey's, some days in Buffalo doesn't open because their employees can't get there to run. That's just the way it is when the weather's misty.
maybe before the policy was that you would close and the people would everybody'd stay home and get paid for it if they were And what happened was that one department got upset because they had to work, and the other department had a day off.
Sheriffs and
Well, it was the secondary roads. But,
well, and then in theory, the sheriff, the deputies are out too.
yeah, but they didn't complain, because that's a job.
But they could,
They could.
for the same reason.
So can it be left to department heads?
No, it's gotta be pretty standard.
I would say we'd want it in the policy book how it's supposed to be handled. I think having a,
Something to hang your hat on?
yep.
I guess I've always been the type that wants to err on safety, but I guess you guys look at it differently.
And how are you gonna err on the side of safety?
By what we've been doing.
Allow them to get paid when they don't go to work?
Unless we come up with another policy to where for inclement weather, can you do something where if you only get, I mean, is there a way to work remotely, you know, on some things?
Some departments, but not others.
Yeah. They got,
And if you aren't, I don't know, like, you'd have to come up with a large amount of laptops and get them out to people. I mean, there's, it's just,
Yeah.
unless you're really prepared for it, you're not gonna be able to.
and to have some kind of a partial pay is gonna be complicated.
Yeah, that would be messy.
And how do you develop the, you know, keep track of your accumulating benefits, you know?
You know, at some point, personal responsibility's gotta come in there too. Weather's bad, weather's bad. The way the world used to work is if you don't work, you don't get paid.
The issue that they're talking about, that has happened since I've been here 16 years, maybe a half a dozen times in 16 years, where you guys had to close the courthouse.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
Sometimes we
It
open,
doesn't,
sometimes.
it doesn't happen very often.
So I think more time than not, it's more of a open late for the purpose of cleaning the,
Parking
getting
lot.
Right.
ready for it.
Sidewalks,
Mhm.
steps.
So then, if we were to change the policy, how does that reflect on it then? It's just lost hours because of that, or?
Gotta take 2 hours of vacation because it opened late, or what?
Yeah.
And as we were talking to our nurses, remember that when all the power lines were down from Forest City to Lake Mills, I had girls stranded in Lake Mills that couldn't get here, and that had really nothing to do with snow. It was that incident. So there's other ifs, ands, and buts that kind of go into all of this, I feel.
I'm trying to remember the big ice storm that we had, what was it, 3-4 years ago? We were open for the most part here, weren't we? I just know the roads were impassable for several days. But it was
Yeah, I
over a
remember that, I
weekend,
guess.
I think, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I know I was coming back from the economic summit in Grinnell on a Friday. And the snowstorm had hit, and then, was that the same storm? Or it just jammed all of the roads too? Or was that a separate storm?
I think that might be the same one, Terry. But like on the weekends, we do have clients we see on the weekends. And it just so happened that was the weekend that my nurse had to get to Forest City, and couldn't, so we had someone else in town who lives here to help out, but sometimes we don't always have that option.
Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I guess I'd like to err on the side of safety as well, and if it's only happened 6 times in how many years, you know, I mean, it's never gonna be for, most of the time, it's not gonna be for multiple days. Most of the time, it's gonna be a day.
Then we get back to what started this whole conversation is the secondary roads guys.
But they also get benefits that we don't, so, I mean, it goes both ways.
What benefits do they get?
Well, they get to work 4-hour days in the summertime and have Fridays off. We don't get that.
Yeah, but they still put in the same hours.
So I would do that.
What they do in their time can be done in the 4 days, and you guys have to be open to the public. So that's really,
Yeah, but that's what I signed up for, as well as that's what they signed up for. So, I mean, it also goes both ways.
yeah, but some get paid not to go to work, and then these guys have to go to work.
Knowing that when they signed up for the job.
Yeah. But,
Just like I know that I'm gonna have to work till midnight on election days when I signed up for my job,
And Saturdays.
and Saturdays.
and when the blizzards come, them guys put in extra time too, so.
Yeah, so it goes both ways.
But still, one side is getting paid not to go to work, and the other side has to go to work. And you
they're
can,
probably
you can
getting
understand,
overtime, I would assume.
I can kind of understand the unfairness of it, is what I'm saying. And if this were the other way around, you worked for secondary roads, you would probably think the same thing. But,
I guess we'll have to agree to disagree.
I mean, I err on the side of, safety too. And if my wife is wanting to go to work, now that she works here in Forest City, and if the roads are impassable, and if she doesn't go to work, she doesn't get paid, I'm just gonna survive without that money somehow. Because I'm not gonna have her risk her life to get here to go to work.
I think the main thing is we need a very clear policy, because it's been very ambiguous for a long time, and when it snows hard, as an employee, I've never known what's gonna happen if, the supervisors are gonna talk and, oh, we're gonna close the courthouse, or, oh, we're gonna close late, or, it'd be nice if there was just some trigger points of, well, if it snowed this much and the plows aren't done yet, we're gonna have a 2-hour delay, and just know to kind of
Yeah, but
expect.
sometimes it can snow 10 inches and it ain't that bad because there's no wind.
Or the ditches haven't filled in yet, or
Yeah, it's, all depends on, you
or you
can't
have
go
just a
off.
little ice underneath 3 inches of snow, and it'd be worse
It
than.
has to come down to talking to the secondary roads guys and what the, the conditions of the roads are as far as if they got guys out. And,
So where does that call come from? I mean, we had bad weather this last winter, and you called me and said, what are we gonna do? Or, are we gonna, he wasn't asking me, I'm clueless about it. I was clueless, but we were,
Well, we talk to each other, just know what the conditions
know
are
what
in
the
different
conditions
parts of
were,
the
yeah.
county,
and I had already been out on the roads that morning, but I have a 4-wheel drive pickup too, it's like, I could get to the courthouse, not a problem. So, who has that?
Isn't it usually the
Board.
chair and,
Chairman.
I was gonna say the chair and secondary roads kind of talk?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they do?
so next year it'll be you.
Terrified. So I'm all for having some type of policy in place, because I'm going to have to say,
Well, and,
what are we doing here, you know?
and people that live in different places, like you can live in Lake Mills and be able to get here, but you can live just 2 miles outside of Port City on a gravel and not be able to get here. Because the highway is, is clear different, the blacktops are easier, it's the gravel roads that, for the most part, get more impassable
It could be an
first.
east-west road versus a north-south road.
Yeah, it depends on, and then there are some gravel roads that just don't, you get fingers across them, but you never get the big drifts across them. I mean, there's places where you can drive after a blizzard even though the plow hasn't been through
Or
it.
you've got areas that have more permanent vegetation that catches the snow, you know, so it varies all over.
So what's best case scenario for your department and what's best case scenario for your department?
It's your department, not mine.
I don't know.
Susan, if you're asking all the departments that are there, I will tell you for public health, we have for our clients emergency plan. So you can look ahead and with nowadays with the weather. So we always have a 3-day plan. Sometimes we use it, sometimes we don't. If I tell my gals, if it is not safe for you to be out there and they pull the plows or they say no travel, I would rather have them not be out on the roads because their office isn't here in the office. It is out in the client's homes. And a lot of our clients are rural.
And most of them don't have vehicles that are necessarily higher four-wheel drive.
Exactly. There was that year that it was bad, we had to go rescue twice 2 of our people because the temperature had dropped, it was so cold, and their car had stalled. And that was up by Scarville. We had to go and pick them up.
So Julie, your best case scenario for your department then is?
I know you don't like to hear that, but I think it should be left up to the department head because we do, in my case, to go use their judgment and use the emergency plan. But I live in Hancock County and my roads are really bad. So I can't say if I can make it, I feel that some of them can make it. Because I'm the last road that gets plowed out. Because I have no school kids or no nothing there. And I don't have a high maintenance vehicle either. I have no 4-wheel drive or anything.
Well, to me, it's the same for all departments. You can't make it, you can't make it. That's all there is to it. If it's too dangerous to go, it's too dangerous to go. And that's a decision that's made by everybody as far as, and if someone calls in and says they can't make it to work because of the weather, I'm not gonna, so therefore they should be able to take that time off without having to, so they aren't risking themselves. The question is should people get paid to stay home? We close the courthouse or whatever, and then we pay them to stay home. And the question is whether they should have to take a vacation day or a personal day or just not take pay if they don't want to use their vacation.
So if you guys close the courthouse and I can't come and do my job and get paid based on people with normal vehicles and I feel like I could come to work in my 4-wheel drive pickup, then I'm just out.
Well, but the thing is that we won't close the courthouse.
You won't,
Because some courthouses, Hancock never closes.
okay.
You can make it, you
So
can
you
make
just
it.
get the choice.
So
yeah.
it's you decide whether you can make it or not. It's your choice.
Okay,
So if you make it, you obviously get paid.
But
If you
part of
don't
that-
make it, you have to use your vacation account.
okay,
Or take it
Or
on
take a day
Or
off.
take it unpaid.
okay.
Yeah.
How does that scenario sound to you?
Well, that makes more
personally?
sense to me,
Yes.
if you're not closing the courthouse and I could still come
Yeah,
and get
no,
paid.
yeah, if you've got a tank, you don't have to worry about it, you're gonna make it. you're driving
Or if you live in town and you wanna walk to work, or snowmobile.
and usually in town you can make it because the visibility problems aren't as bad as they can get in the country.
Well, and then there was the time that we had to close just because it was 30 below zero and no one should have been out, you know? And I don't know what happened that day with you guys, but I'm guessing, were you at work?
Wow, snow.
You plowed snow.
Yes.
That was the day that we had to go rescue someone because their car stalled. What was that day, Carla?
Okay.
Uh,
So
I've worked whole weeks when it's 30 degrees below zero. Could only buy number 1 diesel fuel because the number 2 pumps were gelled up.
I guess
But like I said earlier, this really has only happened a handful of times, and it just so happened it was like maybe 2 years in a row that it all happened.
I kind of feel like if we're gonna move this direction, I would like to look at the issue of sick and vacation versus PTO.
You can't use your sick for that though, can you?
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go that direction, maybe we should be looking at switching to PTO.
you're gonna get a lot of pushback on PTO, because I brought that up a while ago and I was nobody's friend.
But if you have a formula they can look at.
Yeah, people don't like that though. They want their sick, they want their vacation.
So in other words, there is just no good solution.
There's no good solution. No, there's not.
Not when you
And,
mess with people's time off.
and honestly, I do feel like unless it's, I don't know. I feel like the courthouse should be open 100% of the time. If you can't make it, you do one of those
Make your
things.
decision, and you've got your 3 choices.
Yep. And I know that's not popular with people in the courthouse, but the other decision's not popular with people in the other departments that have to work 24/7. So, and I feel like people just need to be maybe more willing to stay home if they know that the roads are terrible. Because I think a lot of people, that's the problem, is a lot of people are gonna try to come even though they don't have the right vehicle and the roads are terrible and there's no visibility and.
Sometimes
And that's
you-
what you're gonna get, is if you never close, you're gonna get those people who are like, well, I'm gonna try, cause I don't wanna use vacation. I'll be one of those people.
I'll be trying, and my road doesn't get plowed until like 2:30 in the afternoon.
Well, and sometimes you can have a tank and still not make it because you can't see where you're going.
Right.
It's like when the ambulance goes out and then they send a plow out in front of the ambulance or whatever, and sometimes that's tough. That's where you gotta make responsible decisions and, and sometimes if you don't work, you don't get paid. If you don't wanna take your vacation or your, personal time or whatever, then you make the decision to not get paid if you're gonna stay home. And if you make the decision to go to work, that's your own decision. I mean, that's, if you're gonna think it's worth a day's pay to risk your life to get here, just so you don't use your vacation.
Then I also look at the difference between the departments, because your department comes in, if you can make it in, you're sitting here. Julie's department has to go out and service people in the field all day long, in that weather. That's not really fair either.
You're not gonna be able to please anybody or everybody with any decision you're gonna make, so.
I think the first decision is, does the courthouse stay open? Is it going to always be open?
Yeah.
Is that safe to the people who try to come in as customers?
They're making a personal decision too, that they think they can make it that day. I mean, it's.
And that was Dave's, when we talked about this policy before, Dave Peterson came in and said, close the courthouse so we keep as many people off the road as we can.
Yeah, but Who thinks they need to go to the courthouse?
You know what, there's
Oh.
always,
Yes.
There's a lot of people that think they need to be out in that
Totally.
weather.
To me, that's just a really bad decision-making process.
or people with 15, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids who, oh, this is a great day to come get your license because there's no school.
And I
So-
don't have to work.
And I don't have to work, so they venture
I
in.
can see that.
Well, you know, if they're in town, all right, but if they're out in the country, they took their own risk.
We've had people from Reagan when there shouldn't have been people on the roads. I mean,
See.
so it just,
I look at this policy, it just drives people to the city then, you know, the people that work here, instead of living in the country, they're gonna almost be forced to move into town, so they're closer to work. So we're
They're just
getting
for
people
one
out of
day's
the rural
wages, they're
areas
gonna
and pay us
move.
more taxes.
I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people that'll make that decision.
No, it's not a large number, but it's still a number.
I think if you wanna live on an acreage, you're gonna live on an acreage. If you wanna live in town where you don't have to deal with, traveling on secondary roads, you'll.
So if the courthouse stays open, can each department make sure that there's someone within the department head knows that there's someone that can open that office?
Well, you can't guarantee that. So
No.
therefore, if somebody from the public thinks they're gonna come and go to the treasurer's office, and the treasurer's office is closed because nobody can make it, that's when they'll realize they probably shouldn't have been traveling too, I guess, maybe.
If that's the case, then I think it's gonna be up to the department head to notify the radio station that their office is closed because of that. Because I'd rather not.
Which, all that stuff goes out, but a lot of people don't hear or see the emails, or, they're not listening to the radio, and then they come anyway. But at least we did our due diligence to try and get it out there to the public. It's
I don't know the answer. I think we need some more information.
so the other thing I think is, you know, we get paid for not working, but then when you come in the next day, you have to work twice as hard to get all the stuff done that you didn't get done the day before. So,
Well, but then that says if you can get it all done, 2 days' work done in one day, then we got too many employees in the office or something, so.
But it also reflects that there may not have been as much work coming in because of the weather.
A lot of their stuff, yeah, it doesn't. What percentage of your work in there is just done, not because of people coming in, just stuff that has to be
how do
done?
you know that?
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's just one office, though.
I don't know. It's your decision, the three of you. You just need to make a decision.
well, I lean towards the fact that the courthouse just needs to remain open all the time, because there is no really good decision that's gonna make everybody, satisfied. So we just leave it open and give them their three choices. And, if they decide to try and make it, that's their decision.
And I'm of the opposite opinion.
I'm leaning with Bill. I think the courthouse should stay open.
Is, you know, and I know when we had this discussion before, then we discussed how many courthouses do always stay open, and it seemed like it was by far the lion's share that stay open all the time. There were a few that closed, but, not very many.
People have to take responsibility for their own safety and
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm probably one of them people, I've driven in enough bad weather, I'm probably one of them that would think you could make it, so it's,
So I think what you're saying then is
Basically, that first sentence just is what it is. Always remains open, the rest of it can be deleted.
Yep.
And if you can't get to work,
Yep, then it says that in the
An
following
employee
paragraph.
isn't able to get to work, he or she will be allowed to charge such absence to vacation or comp time, provided that they have the time accumulated. No time is available, the employee may choose to take time off without pay with department head approval.
Can you take time without pay, without penalty, even if you have time built but are wanting to take?
Yeah, we have
If you wanna save your
undertime.
if you wanna save your vacation for a vacation, you could just take a day off without pay. I would never put it in there that you would get some kind of a reprimand for that.
I guess I would request that if you're gonna move forward with these two issues, you keep them separate on the votes.
Yes, that's fine.
What did you decide about sick time then? I missed.
I think we're all in favor of this opening up the sick time thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it'll
so the-
just be all together. You
I would
can,
never hold it against someone who's got sick children that they couldn't use the rest of their sick time. I mean, I was surprised to find out, that's not a policy we came up with, was it?
No, it's been here since
Okay,
before I was
all
here.
right. I was gonna say, I couldn't make that decision to punish a parent for,
They didn't have
If
that,
too many
like,
kids
when I
make
worked at
that
other
decision.
places, they never had that limitation on music.
okay, so they'll just be sick then, no more family sick. Is that correct?
Yes, that's, well, they haven't voted on it yet, but
But
do you wanna have a separate motion for that and a separate motion for the courthouse closing?
But you'll have to formulate it, we'll look at it.
so you want me to come to reword the policies and then bring them back to the board? Okay.
I hate acting on something I can't see.
Okay, we will put that on the agenda then for next week.
I guess that's probably the end of our agenda.
I got,
Got your answer.
oh, good.
if you wanna jump back to me.
Here, go back to secondary roads.
Okay, so I got resolution from 2012. Terry, even your name on it here. Recommending posted speed limit of 15 miles per hour in all roads within the subdivision.
And
And
that starts at like Sherman's house.
clubhouse entrance, right by
Yeah.
Sherman's, yep.
And I remember that.
Yep, so I got printout of our roads and the signs that are out there. And as you go north, there's a, squirrely S-curve sign that says 15 miles per hour. It's yellow. So that means it's a warning sign, suggested, not enforceable. And then as you get past Sherman's house, right there, there's a speed limit sign that says 15 miles per hour speed limit, all streets, plaque below it. So,
And there's an orange flag on it
okay,
too, when that was posted. I remember when that
okay.
happened.
And I'm okay with all that, it's just, if they're enforcing the 15 out there farther, that,
You could possibly say reckless driving if somebody zoomed through there real good, but they'd probably be more likely to hit a tree going too fast.
Yeah, it's pretty preventative, just the curbs themselves.
Yeah, the conditions of the road don't really lend to speeding.
So if there really is a question about it, we need to find out where the warning or ticket was given and what it was given for, if it was given for speeding or if it was given for.
yeah, if they were doing it up in the residential area, then, yeah, I have no problem with that.
That's where people need to drive slow, cause that's where
Right, you
people are
never
backing
know.
out, and kids are
Kids
playing.
playing on the street all the time.
Yep,
And the walking path out there is a really good idea because there's really a lot of people that walk
on the road.
those curbs.
But there's no room on the golf course side.
There isn't, it drops off too much. Probably not an option, right?
I'm sure that there's funding opportunities for trails.
I was just gonna say, if we can get some money,
Back in the day,
Usually
there
not.
were, what they call them, for the schools, the path to the school, but this isn't qualified for
who
that.
paid for the one going out to Pilot Knob? Did they get some
That would have
money
been
for
the
that?
RTP, the Recreational Trails Program,
All right, yeah.
and that could be, but
Takes a community group and a task force and usually government cooperation to get the funding
I
and
think there was a group at one time that was
well, there's the
working on.
enhancement group too. The one, we gave money this year, for that one in Lake Mel's to Dollar General, to connect the path to Dollar General. So, that's another pot of money, it's a little bigger than the RTP.
What group was that one that did that?
Oh, that was just the city.
Oh, where'd the money come from though?
Oh, that came from, Transportation Alternatives.
Transportation alternative.
Yeah, I'm the only transportation policy member that serves on that one too. Chris Deegan dislikes that because then I can correct him on anything he might have said, misspoke on or something.
all kinds of ways to find money for trails, there really is. You
Cassie,
just gotta
But they got a
have-
bunch of donations for that one too, if I
Melissa
remember right.
knows about it.
It seems like
Yeah.
Hanson or something.
The
did some
Hanson
money for that.
Foundation paid for the widened shoulders on the road out to the knob.
Okay,
Paid for all of it. No, there was some other monies involved too.
I wasn't here for it.
Yeah,
In the file, it says that we received a grant for it.
because I was thinking, well, let's see. I guess the
Can I
one.
see that paper? Just to look at it quick.
You can have it.
I know the transportation alternatives used to be called enhancement monies. And I think it was enhancement monies that paid for the one in the ditch out on 9.
That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
You have that for everything, huh?
We have sign database and culvert database in the system. It has road and bridge data in it.
Do you know why there's red flags all the way from the stop sign, from the blacktop, all the way in,
Like little ones,
little ones?
they probably got mowed off yesterday, so they're not there anymore.
Do you have any idea why they were there?
We did a little bit of subsoil testing a while back.
so you had to do the
Yeah,
one call.
You
or
did one
whatever.
call, so then what they do is they drill a hole in the road and then they do a dynamic, I wanna say dynamic cone penetrometer, but I think it's something different anyway. You take a rod and you put a certain amount of weight and you drop it on the rod and see how much it goes down. And if it goes a long ways, that means the soil's pretty poor. If it doesn't go very much, that means the soil's very stable. It's not, there's a scientific component to it, but it's a pretty rough test.
Sounds kind of basic, okay.
Yeah, so that tells us, is the soil underneath good or bad, and what kind of layers it is, and that tells us if there's a way we can fix it. This company that come up and did that for us is proposing to inject expanding polyurethane foam in the subsoil to give us a better roadbed, to eliminate some of the kind of alligator cracking and some of the failures that are isolated out on that road. As I expected, it's very expensive to do that kind of process, so I don't think it's gonna work out. But the idea was to do some road-based stabilization before we do any paving, so that the paving lasts longer and the ground's more stable going forward. So that's what I think the flags are for, and that's what we did do. I got a quote for like 50,000 or something for 2 localized areas, and
Just to stabilize that
yeah, for that kind of cost, you could most likely dig it up, put in however many feet of new rock, and build it back up and patch it. So it just,
You have more control over what you're doing.
yeah, I mean, I like the solution. I think it would have been interesting, and I think it would have worked well. but it just uses material that's too expensive, so they can't really lower their quote very much, you know, to buy
Might be
these.
good in areas like in a big city where you don't wanna touch anything, cause there's all this infrastructure in there that's in the way.
Yeah, that's a lot of the quotes we get. Well, we'll just dig it up and fix it, you know, it's always oftentimes cheaper, so of course that's gonna be the way we're gonna go. So that's the story I know on that, and I think we mowed those shelters yesterday.
Oh, okay,
Did they don't get out and pull each one of them flags out?
No.
Oh.
there was 50 of them along there, I mean, there was a lot. So do you think that was theirs though? That wasn't like WCTA
What
or
color
something?
flags were they?
Red.
Would that be electric?
Red is electric, and if they one called the whole stretch, then the electric company would have marked it the whole way.
Yeah.
I think it's underground from the corner all the way north and through the subdivision.
On the east side of the road, or, yeah, okay.
And nobody's in charge of pulling them, so sometimes they are out there forever. So usually they just end up getting mowed or disappear.
I've collected a lot of flags in my yard at Thompson. like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, we just keep reading. Yeah, because they're always doing something. Well, anything else on that? Well, then we will stand adjourned.
So Terry, do we know, did somebody receive a ticket out there? Is that kind of from the DNR?
It was just a warning though, you said?
Yeah.